Cooler 360. As with a lot of the coolers that are now coming out with crazy embellishments on the block top, this one ain't cheap. At $230, it's one of the priciest options on the market, but it does offer a good amount of customization. It's an Asetek based design using the Gen 6 pump, but Gigabyte has slapped a 60mm LCD screen on top of that pump surrounded by a tall, stylized aluminum housing. This is of course the main attraction here, as you can display CPU temp, pump speed, custom text, or upload your own images through the Aorus Engine software. But speaking of that software, it's not great. Gigabyte's RGB Fusion ecosystem has never been good, with limited functionality and an outdated UI. You can still do what you need to do here, but I think that of all the coolers we'll look at today, this has the worst control scheme. The radiator is aluminum and comes with three 2500 RPM ARGB fans that look good and can do all the fancy digital effects that we've come to expect from this type of product. These are the fastest fans in today's comparison. Next up is a cooler that I am very excited to test. EK has dipped their toes into the AIO market several times in the past with overall poor results. They've done this by porting over their existing custom blocks and fittings to an AIO style, and
It's time to impress.
either there were issues with leaking, or the units themselves were too expensive, etc. This time, they've come fully committed to the form factor with the new EK AIO 360. This is a completely in-house design by EK, meaning it doesn't use an Asetek pump and cold plate, and I asked EK if they were at all worried about running into patent issues in the US, and they said no, that they are not. It comes in at a reasonable $155, and although there's no LCD screen to be found here, the block top has a nice frosted finish that diffuses the addressable RGB effects nicely. And if you look close enough, you can sort of see the fluid sloshing around in there as well.
Here we go.
The fans are
Arm to
EK's
jump. Let's
Vardar
land
2200 RPM models, and one of the best.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right, hope you're ready. Let's do this, brothers.
Check out over there.
The left. 2 menit.
Attention. First blood.
Knockdown.
I need optics for a pistol.
Level 2.
I need a hop-up hammer point.
Round 1. Beginning ring countdown.
Day one, we're all inside this ring. Extended proper mag here. Level 3.
I could use that.
Sheet here. Level 1.
Extended heavy mag here. Level 3.
I could use that.
Backpack here. Barrel stabilizer here. Level 2. Cancel that.
New kill leader appointed.
Careful.
Might be
No kill
something
leader.
good this way.
I need optics for a pistol. I need optics for an LMG.
Zip line here.
Come on bro, masalah dos. Anjir, Indo.
Optics here. Mid-range. Target spotted.
Flat satu sih.
I need optics for LMG.
I need the help.
Enemy over there.
Select fire.
Yeah.
Frag grenade set. Marking our surroundings.
Shooting. Reloaded.
Frag grenade set.
Closing.
I am blood.
Simulated action.
Marking our surroundings.
No good, brother. I've been down. The next row here.
Lay low.
Thanks, brother. No good. Help.
Best parts about this design is that you don't need any proprietary software here. Both the block and the fans use standard 3-pin ARGB headers, and you can daisy chain all of your components together. Keeping with the theme of custom liquid cooling companies coming out with proper AIOs, this one is Alpha Cool's Ice Bear Aurora. It's the cheapest cooler in our test today at only $150, and also the only all-copper cold plate and radiator combo. This actually produces an interesting effect when varying the fan speeds, which we will take a look at in a second. This is again a totally in-house designed product, and the pump sits inside of this tall housing with a clear window on the side. There are RGB LEDs inside of the housing, but they are really only visible through the window. There are other claw and bear markings on the block top, but the way they're designed, they almost kind of just look like somebody has rubbed away some of the black finish over time and some light is shining through by accident. Although this isn't my favorite aesthetic design, I do have high hopes for performance. The fans are the Lux Pro ARGB, maxing out at 2000 RPM, and they have LED rings around the outside that provide a subtle but pleasing appearance. One of the big benefits of this unit is the fact that the heavy rubber hosing is attached by a quick disconnect, and it's made to be expandable to include a GPU water block as well. The most expensive AIO that we will look at here is this, NZXT's Kraken Z73. At a wallet-busting $280, it costs almost as much as a proper custom CPU loop might. So in order to make up for that, it does need to perform like a monster. Maybe some of that cost comes from the fact that it's the only Asetek Gen 7 pump on the market that I know of, and NZXT has chosen to adorn that pump with a 60mm LCD screen. The screen is crisp and colorful, and in addition to normal system stats, you can also display custom text, photos, or GIFs through NZXT's CAM software. CAM has come a long way since its rocky introduction a few years ago, and I think that the interface and functionality is actually really good now. I also do approve of NZXT's decision to no longer require a sign-in to use it. In fact, it's so easy to use that I was able to control the fan speed for each cooler in our testing using the controls in CAM, which made things much easier and quicker than going through the BIOS or motherboard software. The Kraken comes with 3 all-black fans, making it the only cooler here without some sort of lighting on the radiator. There's still a good bit of wire mess coming off of the pump, which you will need to, and it comes in around $200 US. Fractal has chosen to make available non-Prisma versions for those who would rather spend a little less and not have the ARGB Prisma fans included, so that is a good option. But to be honest here, these fans are great. They max out at 2000 RPM and have addressable RGB effects controllable through the standard 3-pin headers. And all of the fans daisy chain together to make things really easy. There's also a fan and RGB hub on the radiator itself, meaning that the cable mess is kept to an absolute minimum. The pump housing has seen some slight changes. It's now taller and made of a soft touch plastic. Fractal has put an RGB ring on the outside, which is a nice subtle touch, and the pump also retains the ability to rotate to select either PWM mode or auto mode. The pump itself
This might be a good place to land. Hope you're
so
ready.
we've got
Let's
5
do this,
high-end
brothers.
360mm all-in-one liquid coolers. How did we test them? Well, I busted out the old 9900 test bench for this one. Using a Gigabyte Z390 RF master motherboard, I overclocked the CPU to 5 GHz all-core and locked the voltage at 1.3. This created a significant decline as the AIO was allowed to drop and stabilize. This was usually between 15 and 20 minutes. Temperature readings were taken at the package, as individual core readings vary and generated way too much data to interpret, at least for this video. Acoustic measurements were taken using my sound meter placed about 30 inches away from the test bench. As this was an open air setup, I didn't want to put the meter too close to it, as this wouldn't replicate acoustic performance in a standard enclosed case. And I think 30 inches was enough to get accurate readings. I ran each cooler at 4 different fan speed settings, 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. And the entire time, I had the pump maxed out at 100% to minimize any PWM fluctuations. Thermal paste used was Noctua NTH1. First, let's look at noise testing. Across the board at every fan speed, the AlphaCool Lux Pro fans generated the least amount of noise. Especially as we got up towards 75% and 100% fan speeds, the differences were pretty wide, as decibels uses a logarithmic scale, not linear. The difference between 44.8 decibels for the AlphaCool and 48.5 decibels for the Kraken
R301
is huge
here.
and very noticeable. For the most part though, fan noise at the lower speed settings resulted in readings that barely cracked my 40 dBA noise floor, so if you're keeping your fans to 50% or below, you should be fine. Next up was thermal testing, and this produced some really interesting results that were unexpected to say the least. If you had asked me prior to running these tests which cooler I
Optics
thought
here.
would perform the
Close
best,
range.
I would have picked EKAIO. But clearly, I was wrong. At every fan speed setting, the NZXT Kraken Z73 was the clear winner, and it was the only cooler to hold our furnace 9900K under 70C at all. Let's look a little closer at this chart though and try to draw some additional conclusions. The Kraken, the Aorus AIO, and the Fractal units all use Asetek designed pumps and cold plates, but the Kraken blows away the other two. Why? The only reasonable explanation that I could come up with was the use of the newer Gen 7 block. I asked NZXT about this, and while I didn't get a definitive scientific answer, they did say that they believe the Gen 7 pump to be directly responsible for the increased performance. Now let's look at the AlphaCool Ice Bear. While other AIOs in this test saw temperatures fluctuate wildly with changing fan speeds, that was not the case here. There was only a 5°C delta between 25% and 100% fan speed, likely indicating that the cold plate and radiator design are more effective at dissipating heat, and that the fans don't quite matter as much. This is both good news and bad news. While you're not going to get the absolute best performance out of the Ice Bear, you also don't need to crank your fans up to get adequate cooling here. 79C package temp on a 5 GHz 9900K after 20 minutes is nothing to scoff at, and combined with the fact that this was the best acoustic performer in our group, this does seem like a win. And then we come to the EKAIO. What in the world happened here? In fact, I was so confused by these results that I conducted additional testing on this unit and recorded myself doing so just for a sanity check. Here's my testing after the first remount to verify the thermal data. EKAIO is back on the bench. I just remounted it. So I ran all my testing on it. The temperatures are really high. I don't know what was going on. Took this off, cleaned it off, used some alcohol, cleaned off the chip, cleaned off the bottom of the cold plate, reapplied our Noctua NTH1. Now we're running it again with the fans at 100%, and this whole setup over here looks weird because I am just using, I left the Kraken hooked up just via USB cable, just so that it's an easy way for me to control these fans. I could easily scale them from 25 to 50, 75, 100, etc. using the CAM software. So we are using CAM. The fans are running at 100% right now. We're looping Cinebench, and temperatures are not any better. 82, 83 degrees right now. on the package. So it looks like our first mount, where I was averaging 81 degrees, might have even actually just been better.
Package on high.
So I'm not sure what's going on here. I thought this would be a better performing cooler, but I mean, I gave it every chance, and it's just it's not doing the job. After this remount, I also tried different thermal pastes and different radiator fans. Nothing significantly changed the results, and I was befuddled. I figured that I would try one last thing. I took the best performing cooler, the NZXT Kraken, and strapped the EK Vardar
Let's check out
fans
this
to it
way.
to see what kind of results that we got. Retesting the Kraken Z73 with the EK Vardar fans on it, and results are even more surprising than I would have thought. We're at 50% fan speed right now, and this test has been running for 27 minutes, 27 and a half minutes, and our CPU package is at 68 to 69.
Target spotted.
Bless me with sight.
That
Signaling in
is
there.
better than Kraken was performing. It's not. It's not a fan issue.
Giving my shields a
A
recharge.
cooler, it's either the pump, block, or their radiator.
Getting shot.
So the Kraken with the Vardars on it actually performed better than the outside of the margin of error for this testing. Although not big great fans. I reached out to the team all of my data to see
No
if they
good.
could provide an
I've been
explanation.
downed.
Their response was that my testing data did not match the results, and that I received from they did not match the publication of this video, and they're sending me a new unit for follow-up. I also spoke to Steve from Gamers Nexus, who is doing his own review of the EK soon. Given that I remounted the cooler several times, tried different pastes and fans, he said that it's likely either unevenness in the cold plate or something wrong with the pump. Or, to be honest, maybe it's just poor design. Until I get another AIO in-house, I won't know for sure, but given EK's track record with custom cooling components, I would be very surprised if there wasn't something wrong here. So, who wins? Well, if you want the best thermals, it looks like NZXT's Kraken Z73 is the clear choice. Although pricey, it will keep that CPU frosty. However, keep in mind that it was the loudest cooler in the test today, and strapping the Vardar fans to it improved performance. So perhaps the best answer would be to buy the Kraken and then replace the stock fans with Noctuas or Vardars, but at that point, you'd be almost $400 committed to a single all-in-one cooler. I guess you'll need to balance the needs of your system cooling with your available budget. On the other hand, the AlphaCool Ice Bear Aurora was the quietest and the cheapest, with adequate, if not fantastic, thermal performance. Fractal comes out ahead if you want the simplest, cleanest install, as their fan and RGB hub innovation is something that I'm very surprised hasn't yet been copied. So which one of these would you choose? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please hit that like button if this video was interesting or informative to you. It does help the channel out a ton. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
I'm ready.
Hey man, I'm looking for a PC and it's got to have 4 cores, 8 threads in it. Oh yeah, bro, you got to go for an AMD Ryzen, mate. Yeah, get a Ryzen in there. Yeah, get an AMD Ryzen, bro.
24 threads.
That's how.
I give a life. I don't
I say we land here.
air love. Victory. All Father favors us.
Let's go here.
Let's explore this way.
Attention. First
Blood
Round 1. Beginning ring countdown.
Next ring is not close. Hostile close.
I say we move this way.
In combat. Hostile right here.
New kill leader appointed.
There's a new kill leader, and it isn't me. Shot it. Spotted a victim over there.
I am taking fire. I have fallen. Hostile close.
Just you and me now, brother. Recharging shield. Down to 3 planets. Reloading. Hey, I'm getting shot. Recharging shield. Thermite out. Throwing thermite grenade. Reloading. That's it, brothers. Whole squad dropped. It's a long way to the ring. Recharging shields. Brothers banner in hand. Next victim, right here. Not much time. Ring's far.